Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Alexander Nanta Linggi, Minister of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Chairman of the Advisory Committee of the Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the afternoon session of today's summit. And we had two very interesting sessions this morning. This afternoon, we have two other very timely and important sessions as well on growth drivers and SMEs. I'm delighted to warmly welcome here our Minister, Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Alexander Nanta Linggi, Minister of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, to deliver the special ministerial address this afternoon. We believe that your ministry, YB Dato Sri, plays a very important role in the economic growth of the country. In your ministry, you are responsible for the essential distributive and retail trade, which is an area that many Malaysians participate in. Your ministry is also responsible for consumer protection and for competition policy with the Malaysian Competition Commission as part of your ministry. So I think it would be very useful for us to hear your insights, your thoughts, your perspectives on how we can propel forward the domestic economy in the country during this critical period and how we can move forward into the future. And also YB being from Sarawak, perhaps you may also be able to share some views with us on how the situation is in Sarawak in coping with the COVID pandemic and the successes that I think Sarawak has achieved better than many other states in overcoming this war against the invisible enemy. So once again, I want to welcome everyone back to this summit this afternoon. Again, I'd like to thank the speakers, the minister, the corporate sponsors and partners, and all participants for being with us here again this afternoon. So let me now hand the floor over to Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Alexander Nanta Linggi.
Well, thank you very much, Tan Sri. Well, a very good afternoon and salam sejahtera to Tan Sri Michael Yeo, the President of the Kingsley Strategic Institute, the KSI. The Excellencies who are also in this afternoon.
Maybe I think we can't hear you very well.
You can't? Oh,
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
You all right? Can you hear me now? Okay? Yeah. Well, Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to everyone once again, and I'd like to begin by conveying my gratitude to Tan Sri Michael Yeo and the KSI for inviting me to participate in today's event, the Malaysian Economic Summit 2021. This is my second time speaking at a program organized by the KSI. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, this is also the second time it has to be virtual. Let us hope that the third time, if ever I'm given another opportunity, will be in the most spacious ballroom during a time we may be able to see more normalcy. Let me also remind all of us that while our economy may not be in the best situation, and my speech this afternoon may present statistics proving so, the government is optimistic and committed in finding ways to steer us forward and out of the problem. And I personally want to focus on initiatives to improve our economy rather than to remain pessimistic, because it is my duty as the Minister of the Trade, Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs. We are more than a year now into the COVID-19 crisis that has changed the way we live and work. Unfortunately, cases are still high, both locally and in many countries overseas, and Normalcy seems almost like a distant memory. What seems like the end of the pandemic is approaching for certain advanced countries with higher vaccination rates. So the key is vaccinations. Now, these countries are looking at the opening up of their economic sectors despite their high cases. Due to the fact that COVID-19 has yet to cease its spread globally, and with the discovery of new variants, managing the pandemic has indeed taken a toll on the public health infrastructure and in recovering the economy. While it may be easier for some economic sectors to recover, it may take time for certain economic sectors to return to their previous pre-COVID-19 states, unless every country recovers at the same time, at the same pace. Now, this is the nature of the global interdependency. In Malaysia, cases are still high, and several states like Selangor are still under the phase 1 of the Malaysia's 4 phases recovery plan, and a lot of sectors are unable to operate. However, efforts to distribute vaccines through our National COVID-19 Immunization Program, or the PICK, is underway and faster than ever. As of the midday yesterday, on the 11th, July 2021, 7.84 million first doses and the 3.53 million second doses have been administered. In total, 11.36 million doses have been administered nationwide, meaning 10.8% of our population has been fully vaccinated. And also, according to Bloomberg's vaccine tracker, Malaysia is set to cover 75% of the population in 4 months should we maintain our current pace. Now, this may be expedited even more should the pace increases. Now, evidently, the COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on economies and the people's lives everywhere. The government and stakeholders' efforts are vital in assuring the economic situation improves. Now, the government is also committed in providing vaccinations for important economic sectors in order to improve the situations we are in. This includes sectors such as construction, transportation, and manufacturing. Undeniably, the retail sector has been greatly affected by the COVID-19 too. And according to data presented to the ministry during an engagement session with the Federation of the Malaysian Business Association, the FMBA, on the 1st of July, the retail sector, in particular the shopping malls, provide jobs for a total of 1 million workers. It is estimated that 20% of this workforce lost their jobs before the EMCO, and 20% of shops were already closed down. Those statistics paint the grave reality of our economy, especially considering prior to the COVID-19, the hustle and bustle as well as the colorful crowds of Malaysian malls were the symbol of fast developing economy then. In the year 2019, the distributive trade alone contributed to 17%, or 1.326 billion ringgit in sales volume to our country's GDP, proving that distributive trade is essential to the well-being of our economy. In light of this, the government is aware and is committed to helping the retail sector. Now, for your information, the Retail Industry Vaccination Program, what we call RIVAC, R-I-V-A-C, has been approved by the COVID-19 Immunization Task Force, the CITF. And our first industrial vaccination center, PPVN, for the RIVAC will be open at the CityTel, Mid-Valley City, Kuala Lumpur, starting on the 26th July, even though I have asked for it to be actually put forward, but it still has to be late July. RIVAC targets the frontliners of the economy, such as the cashiers, the sales personnel, restaurant crew, petrol station workers, supermarket staff, departmental store employees, barbers and beauticians, shopping complex management and staff, and distribution chain workers, all of whom are not only economic frontliners, but humans with families and the need for jobs to put food on their tables. The objective of implementing RIVAC is to ensure the retail sector can provide for shopping services continuity, as well as a safe and assuring consumer experience. We need to open up the retail sectors, and KPD and HP have been working very hard. I do not like to use the word fighting because we shouldn't be fighting, but indeed, there's a lot of argument and pushing for our case when our dedicated officers having to meet in the technical committee when we recommend new SOPs, recommend which particular subsectors to be reopened, and not always the case that we are successful when the Kementerian Kesihatan or KKM would say otherwise because of the continuing danger or threat of COVID-19. But nonetheless, we have managed to push some of our suggestions because when we emphasize on the need to ensure that business can go as a going concern and that we save jobs and employment. To date, there are 1,823 companies from all over Malaysia that have registered with the ministry for the REVAC program. So KPD targets at least 500,000 frontline workers in the retail economic sector nationwide to join REVAC as soon as possible. Now, KPD and HP is committed to ensure the retail sector is revived and fully open as soon as possible. And this can only be met if the administration of vaccines to all levels of the economy could be implemented fully to REVAC. So I would like also to take this opportunity really to thank all industry players who volunteered to offer their premises to be used as the VINs, that's the pusat for the vaccination centers. And there's a lot of enthusiasm that's why we feel that all the industry players, the state players within our ministry's area of supervision in terms of domestic trade retailers, they have been working closely with us, giving us a full cooperation. And therefore, we have to really push very hard for their cases. Their cases is for them to be able to open as soon as possible. Now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in our effort to build resilient domestic trade, we can no longer be a country wholly reliant on agricultural exports and cheap manufacturing product, as this would put us at the mercy of the ebbs and the flows of the global economy. International capital is fickle and comes and goes at a whim. This is furthermore evident during an era where COVID-19 seems to be the master decision maker in whether countries can open up economically or not. The onus is on Malaysia to build domestically a store of intellectual, financial, and industrial capital which will allow us to survive and even thrive throughout the years ahead. Malaysia must constantly reinvent the economy. Indeed, change is the only constant, as they say all the time we hear, if we are to build a sustainable and resilient economy. Yeah, this is nothing new. It's just reiterating what has been mentioned, and because that is still very much relevant. The fourth industrial revolution, 4IR, and the digital economy have made it all the more crucial for Malaysia's businesses of all forms to get on board the digital bandwagon, to take advantage of the advancement technological developments have always brought to the table. The prime ingredients in this process, though are many, can be narrowed down to two things: people and businesses with the right skills and conducive environment. Now, COVID-19 has affected consumer and economic trends, with almost all countries, including Malaysia, having started lockdowns from March 2020 onwards. Consumers have started shifting their focus to digital platforms, whether it is social media or the e-commerce. In the quarter 1, 2020, a total of 41,705 broadband subscriptions were recorded. In quarter 1, 2021, however, there was an increase to 42,852 broadband subscriptions. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSM, income from e-commerce transactions surged 30% in quarter 1, 2021. Now, these statistics prove that the shift to digital platform is undeniable. The government is aware of the stiff shift to digital platforms, and the possibilities of digital enablers can bring to the development of this country. This is why Malaysian Digital Economy Blueprint, My Digital, was launched on 19 February 2021. My Digital aims to transform and empower Malaysia's digital economy by the year 2030. The My Digital is a cross-sectorial blueprint which takes a whole of government approach, meaning ministries like KBNHB also play a pivotal role in adapting to these digital trends and achieving the blueprint's objectives. So as a whole, Malaysia is doing a great job in embracing the digital economy and the fourth industrial revolution, the 4IR, through the rollout of the 5G, improving cybersecurity resilience, encouraging the use of e-commerce platforms, and adapting to the technological trends. As a matter of fact, Malaysia even encourages development of digital economy within the realm of free trade agreements. With these, there are being chapters on intellectual property as e-commerce and the telecommunications under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. In short, it's called RECP or RICEP. The utilization of e-wallets and online banking has simplified retail and has in fact opened doors for more SMEs to conduct sales. In the Q4 2020, online banking transaction rose by 10% from the previous quarter. As of April 21, approximately 93% of selected subsectors, hypermarkets, convenience stores, and petrol stations and such, have e-wallet facilities. However, on a more granular level, there is also a need to address the access of information to these e-commerce platforms. In line with the objectives of the My Digital, KBNHB launched our own what we call REDI, R-E-D-I, Retail Digitalization Initiative in April 2021. Now, REDI, or REDI we call it, aims to encourage e-wallets adoption in the retail sector with a focus on assisting small traders, particularly in wet markets, agro markets, night markets, and community markets. The objective already is to simplify information and to provide access for traders to information on e-wallet platforms. KPDNHB kicked off this initiative at the Putrajaya night market, where 100% of the traders embrace e-wallet platforms for their businesses. We are planning to expand this initiative nationwide in the time to come. In fact, we are just being held back because of the EMCOs throughout the nation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the government not only plays the role of regulator, we must also play the role of a facilitator. That's why when I came into this ministry, what we hear most at that time was on enforcement. Yeah, enforcement, looking after no price hike, no profiteering. Everything seems to revolve around enforcement. Yeah, but I said no. Enforcement is, of course, very much the core responsibility of this ministry, but there's something bigger than enforcement that we have to also focus on. Unfortunately, because of the COVID-19, we have to use a lot of enforcement powers because we wanted to clamp down on practices that were really not business friendly, or rather not consumer friendly, and also to curb outright cheating. But what is important, when I came into this ministry, I thought we must be the ministry to facilitate. Yeah, we are more open door because we want to focus on some principles. One is to ensure we are able to promote ease of doing business, and also we want to push for able to assist in bringing down cost of doing business, reduction of cost of doing business, and also to create more conducive business environment. Yeah. So, as I said, the government should not play only the role of regulator, but also must be a facilitator. So, in order for the economy to recover, we must equip our entrepreneurs and small businesses with opportunities. We must also look at enhancing untapped potentials. One of the industries that I see as an opportune platform for small businesses is to expand is the franchise industry. Yeah, there is so much of potential that I can see in this. Yeah, through the presentations of the budget 2021 on the 6th of November 2020, the government has allocated a total of 5 million ringgit to KPD and NGP to implement and carry out a program we call the micro franchise and affordable franchise development program. 5 million is not a big money, but it is a start to something that we have dreamed for a bigger thing. So we hope that with 5 million, we are able to use it meaningfully, successful as the first steps to prove that better things can be done. Then we'll get perhaps more allocation from the government to push further on this program. Now, this program will be one of the main initiatives in an effort to attract the involvement of more people into businesses, especially the B40 and the M40, to venture into franchise businesses. This program focuses on providing grants to develop more affordable franchises packages, maybe worth around 100,000 ringgit and below, as well as the micro franchise packages worth 50,000 ringgit and below, to increase the number of franchises, entrepreneurs, franchisees from the B40 and M40 groups. And also we want to ensure that we are able to help to create more opportunities for our youth, for our younger generations. I think we are all fully aware that every year there are thousands of fresh graduates coming into the job market. Obviously, there wouldn't be enough jobs to cater for them. So they must become entrepreneurs. And also, if they are successful, if we can help them, then they will not only find something to do for profit and income, they will also create employment. I think Tan Sri Abdul Wahid remembers very well during our time when you were there, we talked about, we are encouraging young people not only looking for jobs, but also to do something for themselves into entrepreneurship, and they also help to create jobs, Not only job seekers, but they also become job providers. Now, when we speak of untapped potentials, we must also look at both the science and the creative industries in contributing to the economy through innovation. Technology has enhanced the way we appreciate art and culture, as well as the way prototypes are created. This is where intellectual properties, the IP, plays an important role in shaping the outcome of our economy, especially in the coming future. Under the My Digital Blueprint, there is a call to nurture a dynamic IP system for the digital economy to encourage innovation. Now, this call to action is being led by KPD and NGP through the Intellectual Property Cooperation Malaysia. There's MIPO. MIPO is an agency under us. And it looks at, at the improvement of the IP environment in Malaysia. The recommendations in the My Digital on IP aims to develop a more secure and conducive IP ecosystem, increase local IP registration and ownership, and attract higher flow of innovations into Malaysia and to spur IP development. Now, as the Minister overseeing the matters related to IP, because MIPO is an agency under KPD and NGP, I'm committed to ensuring that MIPO works harder to achieve these goals and to be more proactive in promoting the IP awareness in Malaysia. We have bright minds, such as some individuals, such as Zafri Zainuddin, a Malaysian who invented the stick fresh stickers, which prolong the shelf life of fruits. Malaysia does not want to lose untapped potentials and patent registrations to other countries. For example, there is another Malaysian, Roslin Tamsir, a Malaysian engineer who invented a car speaker being used by the McLaren Senna, registered his patent with the European Patent Office in October 2020, to name just a few cases. So my aspirations for IP also extends beyond patents. We should also see the same for geographical indication, GIs, trademarks and copyright. Barrio rice, harum manis are products with GIs, both of which have certainly provide income to some Malaysians. We must also cultivate the creative industry and protect the artwork. As an Iban, well, I'm an Iban, a Dayak from Sarawak. As a Sarawakian, I see great importance in this because there are many hundreds, if not thousands, of ethnic music and artists which have yet to really benefit from having the artwork to be protected. To all Malaysians, innovators and artists, you all deserve to own your own art and to make out of it, especially in terms of incomes through royalties and other rewards through protecting your intellectual properties. Yeah. Now, part of our plan is to further strengthen Malaysia's laws so that we can provide better IP protection for both local and foreign investors. Now, this includes amending our laws so we are in line with the international commitments on IP, such as the RCEP that I mentioned earlier on and the Madrid Protocol. The business ecosystem is a complex one in which KPDNHP and its agencies will continue to facilitate, regardless of whether it is a business registration with the SSM, the Companies Commissions of Malaysia, the development of domestic trade, consumer protection, IP protection with MIPO, and the enforcement of the competition law by the Malaysian Competition Commission. The MyCC is another agency together with SSM and MIPO under the KPDNHP. We will continue on working hard and improve where we need to in order to facilitate domestic trade and prioritize, as I said, the ease of doing business. KPDNHP continue to do this through already existing programs and new initiatives in line with the KPDNHP's strategic plan for the year 2021 to 2025. In fact, Tan Sri, ladies and gentlemen, there will be many more that I can share with you, but I'm quite conscious of the time. It's really not quite justifiable for KPDNHP to have just a short time to share with all of you here what I think we should be doing. This is just some parts of it. In fact, what KPDNHP is doing now is we are very proactively engaging with our stake players. Yeah, that is why in every 2 weeks we would have one engagement, what we call libat urus in bahasa. That is engagement with industry players under KPDNHP, and we learn from them. We like to hear from them. They have ideas, they have constructive criticisms, and they also told us many things that what we shouldn't do, what we need not do. But what is even more important from them is that we want to pick on their brains to tell us what they think that we should be doing to enhance our potentials, especially under the industries or subsectors under the ministry, which I really appreciate. So this we will continue. We have many other sectors. I'm surprised actually. Before I came into the ministry, I never realized, I think many out there may not have realized, but there are so many sectors playing their part in our daily life in economic sense, that are considered as industry yang tidak dikawal. You know, that is still unregulated. I just, it baffles me really. One of them is catering. It seems like no one's baby, you know. And the other one is on the beautician attestation. There's no guidelines, no garis panduan. Yeah, they are big potential. In fact, running as they are already bringing in billions into our economy. But there's no clear-cut guidelines for them to run their business. So many of them have expressed to KPDNHP they want us to take charge on their sector, which I'm looking closely, and I want to do that. Yeah, I hope I can initiate before I need to leave the ministry. We don't know. Political scenario is so uncertain, but at least I think while I'm here, I will want to initiate all this so that as much as we can do in the future, we will at least introduce something meaningful and beneficial to all sectors, especially under domestic trade. So there are so many other things that I think I may not be able to cover this time, right? So we have, at the beginning of this year, we've done our brainstorming sessions with our top management in the ministry. We spent 2 days, and we have what we call a going forward plan. So we have a strategic plan for the year 2021 to 2025, which we presented to the Yang Amat Berhormat, the Prime Minister, on the 20th April, when I invited him to our ministry for a morning where we presented, and we need his feedback. And I'm glad to say that he seems to think that what we have put in the strategy plan as something quite right. Now, talking about one other aspect, which I think I've just touched a little bit, but I need to expand a little bit more. Now, as we move forward, as the way we do business is changing, as we embrace a digital technology way of doing business, e-commerce and such, we need to upskill our enforcement capability. We need our personnel. We have more than 2,000 enforcement staff officers throughout the country. We have 72 what we call ECC, Enforcement Command Centers, that is really almost on real time able to give feedback on what is happening throughout the country. Say if in Kapit, a small town in my constituency, there is a complaint about a price increase, within almost the very next minute, we would know because they are connected to the system. Now, that is only one aspect. But the other aspect is already we are receiving so much complaint, so many complaints on cheating, fraud, what do you call that, unscrupulous, if you like, trade practices through online business and things like that. We need our enforcement officers to be able also to cope with the more sophisticated way of cheating by people doing business through online, especially now. So I appeal to the Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri to look seriously into giving us more budget, bigger budget. Tan Sri used to be the Minister of Finance. We need to upskill, we need to upgrade the capability of our enforcement officers to deal with more sophisticated, what do you call that, if you like, wrongdoings in terms of businesses through online as such. Yeah. So this I am going to start, and I'm initiating something to empower further our enforcement officers so that they are more capable. Yeah. So as a closing, ladies and gentlemen, there may never be a complete return to the COVID-19 normalcy. The pandemic is permanently reshaping the way we live and work. Some of the trends and behaviors developed in crisis, including wide-scale digital adoption, will outlast the pandemic. To stay competitive, the government and the industry players must adapt to these changes to meet emerging customer demands and to restore the economy. While it may seem bleak now, our hope should be is that the accelerated immunization program, and as more states progress to advance to phases of the National Recovery Plan, we hope to see light at the end of the tunnel. I can assure you, I and my ministry official will always advocate the needs of the Rakyat and will work hard to attend to what we need to ensure these needs are met. Just now, I was asked to maybe talk a bit about Sarawak, how Sarawak is coping. Tan Sri, I can tell you, of course, the fact that I'm a Sarawakian, but the fact is also, it's true that what is really happening, Sarawak government is doing the right thing all along. And as big as the state, we may be almost as big as the mainland, and also coupled with difficulties because of our, what do you call that, still rather not quite complete infrastructural facilities that we have. Still, we are able to cope with the immunization programs, and now we have covered a very big percentage. We are ahead of many states in terms of COVID-19. Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of help from the federal government, which we appreciate. But at the same time, obviously, we know that with our local knowledge, we know how to cope with better. For instance, instead of expecting people who live in the remote areas, the villages and long houses, who have difficult means of communication or transportation to come down to the clinics in the towns, we take great effort to bring the vaccines to the villages. Yeah, and when we did that, we have been doing that. We're still doing that. We realize that we are doing it more efficiently because when we go to the village, everyone is there. Yeah, and all of them get the vaccines, so they do not have to face the burden of having to spend money, which they hardly have money anyway, to come down all the way to the towns, and also a burden with having to spend a lot of time to come and difficulties of transportation. But when we deliver the vaccines to them, that's where they really appreciate the effort. So this just to share something that I think why vaccination program in Sarawak is getting ahead and doing well. Yeah. So with that, Tan Sri, I'd like to thank and congratulate KSI once again for organizing this summit, and I wish all of us to have a fruitful discussion. I may not be able to be with you till the end because I have to rush to the airport, sir, so that I should be back on time in KL this evening. Tomorrow there are so many things to do at the ministry, and also we're going to have a cabinet meeting even if it is on VC. Thank you, Tan Sri. Thank you.